What's up, knife freaks, sharpness geeks, and purveyors of stabby goodness? Welcome to the Knife Freak Show. My name is Jonathan McNeese. My co-host here, Mr. Chase Boatwright.
Orale.
All right, throw a little Hispanic flavor in there today.
Oh yeah, I had tacos for lunch.
Oh, there
Not
you
that
go.
that matters.
I had, chicken, barbecue chicken. So, from a great little shout out to a great local place up there in Birmingham, Saul's Barbecue. If you guys are ever in Birmingham, Alabama, Saul's Barbecue.
I should have known y'all went to Saul's.
Well, that wasn't actually why we were there, but while we were there, we made it a point to stop by Saul's. So
yeah. I didn't think that was why y'all went, but yeah.
We have been known to make a trip up there just for that, but not
happens.
So
yeah.
Yep. So
Understand.
Anyway, all right. So you had a good week.
Yeah. Pretty good week so far. Surprisingly productful. No, I don't know. Whatever word I'm trying to think of right now that I can't think of.
Well, I can say
is that a word?
Good productive week, but your brain's fried. That tracks. That's about the way.
Productive. Yes.
Yeah, productive.
That's the one. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Week will fry your brain. Of course, sometimes
yeah. So
really frustrating, non-productive ones fry my brain too. So.
Yeah, but clearly this is an omen. Yeah, maybe we should just sign off now. I don't know. that was bad.
One big blooper reel.
Yeah. Anyway, how was your week?
It was pretty good. We actually had the most productive week we've had for a little bit. So without getting too deep into it, because I am planning on talking about it more in depth later, maybe on here and on just some videos I'm going to do. But on top of rolling out the new model with the Dixon, at the same time, I decided to just, really make things fun and simultaneously change up the way that we're doing all of our blade grinds, whole new system, whole new method, all that. So, been working on perfecting that. So I have a nice big fat stack of scrap blades, but we also produced, a reasonable number of good finished blades this week, which is fantastic. So, we're still not anywhere near where I want to be on them. We're kind of having the idea is to get them where we can do them basically palletized and run them, multiples at a time or whatever, a whole pallet at a time. Right now, we're still having to basically do them one at a time, but it's still a better option than anything we've ever done in the past, but it's not as good as I want it to be. So anyway, so progress, but not still not all the way there. But yeah, I'm breathing a little bit easier about Blade Show at this point, because up until the last 2 weeks, we had plenty of Mac 2s to bring to Blade Show, but we had like this time 2 weeks ago, I don't know if we had any Dixons ready to bring to Blade Show, and that's and I want to bring a lot. So
yeah, that's so you're feeling the same sort of stress that I'm feeling. Yeah. But in this past week, I definitely made a lot of progress. I've got 2 fully done, sharpened, marked, all that. I've just got to take pictures, and then others are close behind. And I'm bringing like 8 folders, so it's not like that big of a number. But
but that makes it having a couple completely done and more not far behind means out of 8, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And on that note, of the ones that are almost done, not quite done, but getting there, and that Sharpie mark is for me to remember to go back and touch something up on the grind. But yeah, this is our collab Dixon that I will be bringing to Blade Show. That's very smudgy and, like I said, not quite done. Did some lasering and stuff on it. Marked one part of the blade. I'm going to mark the other part of the blade once I finish grinding and all that. And all that, but got it blasted and tumbled. Got the hardware all sized and satined and all that. So that is the collab Dixon. That one of the last custom Dixons that Jonathan started building, and I just kind of took the parts and took them to my shop and carried on with the rest of the process.
But it's abandoned mid-build like 5 years ago or so. No, not that long.
I don't even know if you were mid-build, but yeah.
Yeah, I probably wasn't quite mid-build, but
Well, you had other things to worry about, like trying to figure out how to run a CNC and how to move into a bigger shop and all that, fun stuff. But
So that's cool.
But yeah,
I'm really glad to see it actually turn into an actual finished knife. That's pretty cool. It's better than just sitting up there and start staying. I don't guess they would technically rot, but but sitting there just doing nothing.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And the guys that will be at Chase's table at Blade Show. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go see him. So
it will be a. Thinking I'm doing a lottery on it at my table, and for those interested, it's CPM 154 blade, titanium lock sides, its own bearings, ceramic detent, natural micarta with titanium liner, and cross-cut micarta backspacer. So
cool. All right, so yeah, that's gonna be really cool to see that come to fruition and be on your table. So
yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yep.
It was a fun process getting to kind of make, someone else's design, and but it's a design I've also kind of had a history with and stuff too. So it was interesting experience. Yeah.
So
I've done other stuff to them, just not all the stuff I've done this time. So
that's right.
But
very cool.
But yeah, and on that note, Blade Show is only 22 days away as we currently stand, which is awesome. I'm actually starting to get excited for it. I think once I start getting knives done, I can finally start getting excited instead of just stressed about it.
That's kind of the way I'm in. Like I said, with the Dixons now, we still don't have anywhere. We probably got like a little half or a little less done what I would like to have, but we have enough done that it wouldn't be a catastrophe if we had to go tomorrow. So
sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We starting to think about a little more about all the other stuff. Matter of fact, that reminds me, I've got to order some new tablecloths when we get off this recording for the tables for the new booth setup and stuff. So
yeah, you've got the new booth location and set up and stuff.
Yeah, we got a big fabric banner for like a 20-foot long by 9-foot tall fabric banner to hang on the back wall,
wow.
And we had to get me and 3 of the guys had to get out here in the shop the other day, and like they had to get up on like ladders and stuff and hold the corners of it so I could see it and check it out to make sure it actually looked okay before, I didn't want to get to the show and then unfold the thing and be like, oh crap, that looks awful. So
have it misspelled or something crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So before it was too late to do something about it, we had to unfold it and check it out and try to get it folded back up and all that. But anyway, starting to think about some of the other logistical stuff, and since the knives are starting to get done, so. But
yeah, for sure.
Getting excited.
I probably should have done that too, because I get to Blade Show every year, and then I'm like, God, why haven't I changed doing this? Why haven't I got a different, banner or this or that or the other? And then we just do it again the next time. So
I'm notorious for changing stuff every time. Not changing everything, but I'm never ever been satisfied to where I didn't change anything from one year to the next. So just in my nature, I guess. But anyway. So while we're on the topic of Blade Show, I guess we might as well just keep talking about it for a little bit. I think we've got some questions that we're going to kind of wrap up with after we talk about some show related stuff. But you had mentioned maybe talking about some other makers that we would recommend that you go check out or whatever. So
for sure, yeah. Figured we'd throw a few names out there, kind of spread the love. Some people that we respect or enjoy their work, or probably all the above that we're friends with, all those things kind of go hand in hand. And, but you want to kick us off, or you want me to kick one?
I can. So most of mine, guys, are going to kind of be, there are tons and tons and tons of good handmade guys and stuff out there. But my world right now just kind of revolves more around, production stuff or, small batch production stuff. So that kind of tends to be more where my attention goes. That tends to be more of the guys that I'm talking to and kind of, asking that, hey, I'm stuck. Can you help me with this problem? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So mine are going to be kind of guys in that category. So the first one I would mention would probably be, and somebody that I'm sure all of you are familiar with, at least him. So it's kind of a 2-part deal. So Les George, George Knives. I think probably everybody knows who he is, but he does awesome stuff. But he also has a partnership with Chad Nichols where they're doing the Defiant 7 brand.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool brand. They're making really cool knives for one thing. It's got the know-how of Les and Chad both behind it, and they're basically taking. They've got some younger guys that they're essentially teaching to do all the stuff, and those guys I think are doing. My understanding are already doing the majority of the actual work on them. I think Les and those guys I don't know if any of those guys are involved in any of the design stuff or not, but I know they've been working on like the hands-on, doing the machining and the assembly and all that stuff. So they're kind of bringing along like another generation, as they still do their own thing. So I think that's super cool. So if you,
for sure,
Les's stuff for sure, which like I said, I think everybody probably knows about him. But if you're not familiar with the Defiant 7 deal that he's got going, him and Chad, then for sure go check that out, because they're doing some really cool stuff, and I think what they're doing is fantastic with not only making it in the U.S. but also bringing along a younger generation to basically kind of building the brand and company for them. So that's hard to beat.
Yeah, that was one of the people I considered as well, but I figured you might hit that one. But I'm glad to see, because they've been doing sporadic sort of Defiant 7 projects. I think more or less it was more like a sort of more true mid-tech sort of thing, where like they would just do a project every now and then. But I'm glad it's actually kind of ramping up into more of its own brand, and they're collaborating with like other designers and well-known people in the industry and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, because I know they've got brought Alan Lewishowitz in on as a designer now too. So and I think
I've seen
probably the explanation of what you're talking about, like of how it was kind of sporadic for a while. So, and I'm not 100% sure on all this, but I do know that two of the younger guys I was talking about, both just within like the last year, they were in machining school, and they both just finished up machining school. And so I think this is kind of where they were going with it from the beginning, but I think it's taken them to this point to get those guys, through the stuff that they're teaching them themselves, and then get done with machining school and be able to start kind of actually having the manpower to turn it into its full own brand. That's my understanding. Is kind of where they're at with it. I've been over there and visited with them, and they're a great group of guys. They're really cool. The younger guys seem like they really really got it.
I think I met them briefly. I didn't realize they were sort of in charge of all that. I knew one of them was Chad's son by looking at him. I asked him if I was like, "Are you Chad's son?" And he was like, "Yeah." But I'm really cool. Really excited to see what those guys do in the future.
Yeah, me too. Who you got first up on your list?
First up on my list, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize to this person because he is a French Canadian, and I may mispronounce his name, but it's Ulysses Robert or Robert, unsure, but like Ulysses and then Robert is how you spell it, and he's a former watchmaker, and you can definitely tell that. And just like Jonathan said, he's more focused on the production side, with his picks. I'm definitely more focused on the handmade sort of thing that I'm embroiled in. And these are people that I kind of, ask questions and look up to and, enjoy what they're doing in their own, way as far as the handmade side of things. But Ulysses definitely is in that category. He's, like I said, a former watchmaker, and everything he does has just a fine quality like that. Like you think of a watchmaker would. It's just everything is very precise, very polished, very elegant, I would say. And
do you know what
he will be at table?
Sorry,
what?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say he's going to be at table 7-0. So he'll be over in the tables sections. If you've never been to Blade Show, there's tables and then there's booths in the big room, and then the small room is sort of divided the same way. So in the tables area is typically where you find more handmade guys, although some companies, bigger companies will have tables as well, but usually the bigger companies will have booths. And so, but over in the tables area where I'll be at is where Ulysses will be at table 7-0.
Okay.
So,
and what I was going to ask is it just his name then? So is it like Robert or Robert like Knives or like what?
Yeah, it's at Ulysses. Actually, it's not even Ulysses. It's ULYSSEROBERT. So I guess Ulysses Robert or Ulysses Robert. Unsure. Like I said, he's French Canadian. I've met him in person last year at Blade Show, and most of the time we've talked over internet, Instagram and stuff. So I haven't actually asked him how to pronounce his name yet. Although I should have done that before this. But
yeah,
he's definitely one of the guys that I appreciate. He does a lot of hamons and stuff, and he does that like sort of very high polish hamon that are very and he does insane hand rubs and stuff, and uses a lot of mother of pearl and with carbon fiber. He doesn't necessarily use just like art knife materials and stuff.
Yeah.
But he uses like, sort of tactical materials, but does everything in a very sort of fine way.
Yeah.
And that's what really impresses me about it.
That's cool. Very cool. I'm going to have to check his stuff out because I'm not familiar. But I was just trying to look it up. But I'm sure he's like the rest of us. He's shadow banned because I couldn't get it to pull up on Instagram. But I'll find it.
Yeah. And also, before we move on, Defiant 7 is at booth 133. So, right. Who you got next?
So, I think next, somebody that I've mentioned at least a couple of different times on the show previously about stuff, because again, this is a buddy that we bounce ideas back and forth and stuff like that. Doug Espinosa at Attention to Detail Mercantile. So he's doing really cool stuff. He kind of walks the line between his small batch production stuff, but a lot of his stuff is honestly what I would call custom. Like they're hand grinding most of the stuff. I'm not sure, but what some of the small batch production stuff is not technically hand ground. But so like really, really, really cool stuff. And kind of I feel like in the same vein of what we do as far as like tactical stuff. Most of it's looks like it could take a beating and work hard, but he does a lot of cool stuff to kind of dress them up and stuff too. Lots of cool inlays and milling patterns and finishes and all kinds of stuff like that. So really, really cool guy. Another Marine Corps veteran and just a really cool dude. And he's got Noah is the other half of that combo, but he won't be there. But still want to mention him. But I think he's actually currently in Marine Corps Reserves, and his weekend to go run around and play Marine. I shouldn't say that. He's most definitely not playing Marine. But, play in the woods or whatever they're going to do is that weekend. So unfortunately, he won't be able to be there. But anyway, they do really cool stuff. Make sure you go check him out. He always has a ton of cool swag and stuff. Doug's really good at bringing all the merch and stuff like that. So, and the knives are just fantastic. So, and he's got folders and fixed blades. He's got some really cool fixed blades. They're all, they're very much on the tactical side, but have a nice little flair to them. So, definitely go check those out.
Yep, and Doug will be at booth 518. So that's where you can find Doug. And like you said, Doug's a great guy. I got to meet him at, was that Texas or Blade Show last year?
I think that was Texas.
Okay. I don't know. I think it was Texas too, but my brain is dead.
Just 2 or 3 months ago. Yep.
That.
Like forever, but.
I couldn't even say productive, man. I don't know what you want from me.
All right. Got up next?
For my next one is somebody you and I both know, and I guess you sort of introduced me to this maker and this family. Be Mr. Jake McCoy, McCoy Blade Works. And Jake will be at table 14B, but Jake and the whole McCoy family are probably some of the nicest people I've ever met on the planet.
Yep.
Not to mention, just like immediately welcoming as soon as you meet them, and not to mention Jake is just an incredible knife maker in his young age. I think he's 25 or 26. I don't remember now, but he's younger than me. That's all I remember. And he's his work just keeps getting better and better every year, and
for sure.
Making really clean stuff. And he's actually right in front of me, so I'll be staring at him all weekend. I'm at 15B, he's at 14B, so we just stare at each other and wave all weekend. And also, he just had a baby girl, so congratulations, Jake, on that. And congratulations, Tegan, as well. So,
congratulations.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing Jake and getting to talk to him, and he always seems to do very well at the show. But I recommend you guys go check out his work. He's doing great stuff, and I think he'll be doing it for a while in this industry.
Yeah. He's grown up in the industry, honestly. Like I met Jake for the first time. I want to say he was either 12 or 14. I can't remember. It was somewhere right in there. Just a little guy came up to the table and super nice and just wanted to come up and say hello and introduce himself and talk knives and now here he is, full grown man with 2 kids and his own knife brand. So it's pretty cool. Makes me feel a little bit old, but that's all right. Lots of things these days.
I mean, even when I met him, like he was, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago when I met him, and just seeing him kind of get married and grow up and that sort of stuff. I mean, not that I'm that much older, but like even in the short time that I've known him, he's gone through a whole lot as far as his his whole business and family. So it's very cool.
But like you said, just fantastic, great salt of the earth people. So definitely would recommend that.
100%. Yep,
for sure. All right, so I guess for my last pick, and I could go on all day, and then I would still forget people. But another one, a good friend of ours that we really like is Bastinelli, Bastinelli. So he, I think I'm trying to think. I blanked out. Is it Bastinelli Blade Works or just Bastinelli?
Just Bastinelli Knives.
Okay. Most of you also again probably know Bastinelli. Like he's just one of the he's one of those guys that literally everything he does is just cool. Like everything. I mean, like from the actual knives to he does all kinds of other stuff. He's got just, I don't know, man. Like it just the way he sets his booth up and displays it. Like he's just a cool dude. Like, and this everything.
The way he dresses.
His dresses. He's got the smooth,
him and his partner.
The smooth ninja moves. Yeah, and I was going to get to that. So he's also got a good friend that works the shows with him named Nico. Shout out to Nico. Can't wait to see him in a couple of weeks. Great guys. So both of these guys are French by birth, but both are also now, I know Nico is 100%. He's 100% U.S. citizen now, and I cannot remember. I apologize, Bastion. I don't. He's most of the way, if not all the way, done with his citizenship now. I know his is in progress. So anyway, I'm hoping I'm not totally butchering that. It may be like, dude, I've been like American citizen for like 2 years now or something. But I think sometime over he's either, like I said, he's either just fairly recently within the last couple of years or currently is. Anyway, it's just super cool to see people come here and like these guys have completely embraced, being Americans and like doing their thing. And like, it's just awesome. They're super supportive of all the military stuff and everything. Like just really cool dudes. And just, it's really kind of interesting to have two French born people and, with obviously, speaking a little bit different kind of English than I'm speaking. And that's not a knock on them. Sometimes some of their English is better than mine, but like going from super Southern redneck drawl to their, French accent, English, it's pretty fun conversation sometimes. So they are
for sure
super good guys though. And their work, like I said, Bastion's work is just phenomenal. Like he has, I mean, it's all pretty much, for the most part, really tactical stuff, like just really super cool. Everything from, like full-on scythes and like just, I mean, everything. Like you can, if you want to get outfitted and go be a ninja, then that is the place to go because he's got you covered.
Yeah.
So really,
everything has that sort of tactical self-defense air to it. That's his bag, that's his game, and he's good at it as far as both seemingly skill-wise and as far as designing for that purpose. So, but yeah, like I said, Bastion's coolest customer in town. As soon as you see him, he just even dresses cool, and he just carries himself like a cool dude. But and then you got Nico, and he's just all lovable and awesome, but then could also probably drop you in 3 seconds. It's a great combination,
especially Nico. So Bastion maybe some, but especially Nico. Like if you would never, if you saw me and you and him, somebody walked up and saw me and you and him standing around talking, like they would. Well, other than I will say, it shows a lot of time he wears like a beret, so that kind of a little bit of a giveaway. But if he didn't have on, if he just had on a regular hat or whatever, and somebody walked up, until they heard him talk, they would just assume that he was an Alabama.
I think he's more American than I am.
Yeah, for sure. So it's really cool. But anyway, great guys, great company, and for sure, if you haven't not already familiar with them, but by all means go check them out. But really cool guys.
Oh, and they will be at booth 148. I don't remember if that's the same location, but typically they're in sort of the back left corner. If you walk in the door, they're sort of in the back left corner, back that way. I don't know if they're in the same location, but
I think.
But 148 is where they're at.
It's worth going by there just to see how cool he sets his booth up. So.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, looking forward to seeing them as well.
Yeah.
So my last one, and like Jonathan said, I mean, there's a bunch more guys that I would like to mention. These were the first 3 guys that popped into my head, and so I just went with it and didn't try to stress myself out about who I was leaving out. So whoever I am leaving out, I apologize. But the last one is Lucas Gumbiner, and this is a maker out of Colorado, also younger than me. No, I'm not salty about it, but from what I've seen, he's probably one of the best makers on the planet as far as the things he's able to do and the precision, and especially his machining is insane. And this is all manual machining done on a benchtop mill.
Oh, wow.
And he'll usually do like inlays into the back of the blade and an inlay into the center of the backspacer. And that may not sound like much, to some people, but a perfectly centered inlay into the spine of the blade here, and then a perfectly centered inlay into the backspacer here is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're using CNC or not.
Right.
It's a very difficult thing to do to make everything, be perfectly. And then the inlay itself, the inlaid material is super tight and no gaps, perfect. And then he also just has great designs, fit and finish, everything else is there as well, So also makes really great kitchen knives because he's big into cooking, and he does a lot of the smoking meats and stuff like that, and does a lot of the chef type stuff. So he makes really good kitchen knives, and I think he won an award for one last year or 2 years ago.
Sweet.
But he's an incredible maker, so I would definitely recommend you guys go at least check him out and talk to him. He's a great guy. He's always willing to help. As far as other makers, anytime I've asked him a question, he's been fired right off, and same with all 3 of these guys. But yeah, Lucas is a rock star, so
cool.
Definitely go check him out.
Yeah, I'm going to check him out. I don't think I've seen his
work,
so. Cool.
And he will be at table 39K, and that is in the small room, the ballroom as they call it, which is, so Blade Show Atlanta, there's actually 2 separate rooms. And so he'll be over in the smaller room area in the tables, or smaller room in the tables area.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that gives you guys, as you're making out your list of what stops to make at Blade Show, then we gave you a little head start there. Of course, come see us first. We're not going to, we ain't going to be shy about that. Just, and then go see all the other folks.
Yeah. I'll be there all weekend. You can come see me whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. So, one other note that's kind of related to Blade Show, but not totally, but I'm going to go ahead and drop it in here. So Chase sent me a message from where he had gotten a message on Instagram the other day, and it's actually it's I guess he sent me the message on Instagram, but it's about a YouTube issue. So I'm not going to drop the name because I honestly don't want to even send this guy any more viewers to bump up, because I'm sure half of these guys that say and do controversial crap anywhere, but especially on YouTube, like all they're trying to do is get clicks and views and stuff because it benefits them. So I don't want to do anything to benefit this guy in any way. But this individual has owned, apparently, for starters, he's a complete and total loser, because I don't say that lightly just because whatever, but he's highly promoting Chinese knockoffs of other brands. And so I've said it before and I'll say it again all day long. Like if you do that, if you support that, you think that's okay, for sure. If you're promoting it and actively trying to encourage it or whatever, supporting it, then like that's literally just being a loser. Like you're showing that you want something from that brand, but you're either too cheap, too broke, too sorry of an individual to actually support the brand that created said thing, and you just want to be able to act like you've got something and then make up all these excuses of why it's justified, and it's just all a load of crap. This particular individual was stating that he actually actively gets dimensions and pictures and everything else of knives and sends them to, I guess he's got contact with one of the knockoff artists.
A couple of them.
Huh?
A couple of them. Like he named 3 or 4 of them.
So I actually didn't go watch the video myself either. Like I may eventually. I know that I know what it's going to do.
Take some blood pressure medicine before you do.
I know what it's going to do my mood, so I haven't done it. So
yeah, it got me hot.
Yeah. So it's so again, this guy's not just buying them; he's actually actively. He's basically marketing for them. He's actually helping them, trying to send them dimensions and stuff so they can knock people off. To include, I don't know that he had anything to do with them knocking ours off, but I know he's got multiple knockoffs of our knives. And he has come out and said on the video that he is planning on going to Blade Show and walking around and trying to get pictures and dimensions and stuff from companies and makers' tables so that he can send them to these guys to have them knocked off. Number one, I would highly recommend not coming to my table and doing that. Just going to leave that as it is. So
same for me.
Fair warned, that will not be tolerated at any level. So as a matter of fact, we're probably going to put a sign up this year, no pictures without permission, period. Because we have people come around taking pictures every year, and I think probably 95% of them are just legit. It's totally fine. I don't mind somebody that's got, social media channel or whatever what they're trying to get content for, but there's also always the sketch people that just come up and start taking pictures with no explanation and no whatever, and and this guy is proof that people do that. So anyway, and guys, I'm not going to go down the whole knockoff rabbit hole too much. Number one, you notice I'm saying knockoff, guys. We need to quit trying to normalize like this is some kind of okay thing. Quit calling them clones. They're not clones. That's not that makes it sound more acceptable somehow. They're knockoffs. They're fakes. It's what they are. It's the same thing that people have done for years with Rolexes and designer handbags and everything else. And it's knockoff crap. And I don't honestly care what the quality is. There's absolutely no excuse. I don't care if the knockoff people can make an absolutely perfect knife. If they can make an absolutely perfect knife, then let them make a design that's their own design under their own brand name and make it perfect and sell it. And there you go. You don't have to steal somebody else's intellectual property. You don't have to essentially, still use their brand name and try to market it. Just make your own. And if those of you that are supporting it, if you again, the only reason there's plenty of cheaper knives out there that are made. If you want to buy cheaper knives, and if you want to buy cheaper knives that are made in China, they're out there. There's a gazillion of them. Every Chinese company out there has got a gazillion different designs. If you want them, go buy them. But no, the reason you're buying the knockoff designs is because you want the perceived clout of having said design, but you don't want to actually put out the money to buy it, like, because you're cheap and you're not a good person. You're a dishonest person, because you can say whatever you want and make up any excuse that you want, but at the end of the day, you are taking away from, you are hurting, you're taking food off the table, whatever you want to call it, from these companies that do that. And I know that it's really easy to think for some of these companies, like, oh, they're a big company, like it don't matter, they're greedy, they're whatever. Number one, it's never right. Okay, it's not anymore. Yeah. It's not any more right to steal from a huge company like Walmart than it is to steal from your local mom and pop grocery store. Okay, it's still morally and ethically wrong. Period. But these guys, like people like us, guys, we're a family owned company. We have 7 employees, 7 full-time employees besides ourselves, and a part-time IT guy. So we're not this huge corporate company. Like, we're a small, privately owned company trying to keep our head above water and do things the right way. And then you get jerks like this that are coming out here and intentionally trying to sabotage and take away from our business. And you can say whatever you want all day long about, well, people that are buying these, that's not going to keep them from buying the real thing, whatever. Even if it doesn't, it costs us time and money dealing with all the repercussions that come from there being fakes out there. We've already, there's not tons of hours out there that I know of. There's definitely more than I want there to be. But we already have to deal with people hitting us up, sending a knife in, thinking it's the real thing, and then it's a fake, and then we've got to deal with all that. Or just question, taking the time out to answer emails like, hey, how can I tell? I was wondering if this knife looks legit. Can you check it out for me? Like, it costs us time, which costs us money to deal with this stuff. Even if it never hurts our sales at all, it still costs us. All right. Like, it is literally my last name going on these knives. And these guys think that it's okay to just take that, put it on there, and act like there's nothing wrong with that. So, I said it before about other people, but this guy right here, since his thing seems to be like that, he thinks he's some big YouTube influencer or something. Guarantee you he would think different if I used AI and I created a channel and I replicated his voice and stuff, and I made videos that looked exactly like his videos, sounded exactly like him, used the exact same screen name or whatever, labeled it just like his, and started putting them out there. Do you think he would be okay with that, or you think he'd go to YouTube screaming and crying, wanting it taken down?
Yeah.
Not for 1 second would he think that's okay, but it's totally okay to do that to other people. It's what he thinks. It's a total loser, unethical. I'm telling you, the exact same. He probably does steal from his local mom and pop grocery store and stuff. People like that have no scruples, and they don't have any business being part of the knife community. And you guys should not show them any support. You should basically ostracize them. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I went a little deeper into that than I meant to, but it's kind of hard not to. It's when you got.
No, I understand. I was just.
It's and it's extremely frustrating,
Yeah, I'm just over here doing heart rate exercises, trying to keep,
yeah,
all that. But
it's just, guys.
Yeah, and
it's just I think most, if not all, the people that listen to our show, it's probably are not the kind of people that would even need to hear this message. But I do think that sometimes we need to think about even the little things, because I know I've heard other people talk about other influencers that promote it, like that, like Metal Complex or whatever, that has a big following. Well, guys, don't support them either. Don't go watch their videos. If you know that they're okay with that, they are harming this industry and this community that we all love. All right, those are the cancerous parts of our community. I don't care if the rest of their stuff that they do and they say whatever seems good. If they are promoting that, then they are dishonest people. They are a cancer part of our community, and we need to not support them in any way. And we cannot. It's playing whack-a-mole to try to there's really nothing we can do as far as fighting the actual, the source of the problem, which is the Chinese knocking us off. But we can do what we can to not encourage people and not support people that are encouraging it, and actually, because if we could dry up the market for this stuff, then they wouldn't need to knock them off. They're only knocking them off because they know they can sell them. and people out there actively promoting it and telling people to go out there and buy these things and all that. That's 100%. And for all I know, these people are probably being paid and reimbursed by some of these. I mean, if he's interacting with these knockoff companies and stuff, the Chinese companies, they're probably paying him or giving him free product or something like that to do this. You think that's you don't think that it's just the whole thing is just gross, man. It's like it's just like the gross, nasty underbelly of our community, and we need to all stay as far away from it as we can and not support these people. So,
yeah, he was even talking about like he had conversations with one of the company heads or the guys that's responsible for it, whatever they are, and talking about like the guy asking him, "Hey, what's popular right now? What should we make?" and him supplying that information and that so in those dimensions and detailed pictures and stuff, and it was just
so a total
infuriating to watch. But
basically
I
an
did
industrial spy. That's what that's called.
Yeah,
and it's highly illegal. If anybody
knows, as our counterfeit,
if anybody knows who we're talking about and they happen to know his actual real name, because of course he's too much of a chicken shit to actually put his name or show his face on his videos and stuff. So if anybody happens to have any information on him, please hit me up and let me know, and we'll go from there. So
before we moved on from this, I did want to shout out one more shout out of a maker who will be at Blade Show, but he's the one who alerted me to this situation. It's Bless Knives, and I believe it's Donald Bless is the maker's name, and he's also another maker that I could have mentioned earlier. Makes really good folders and stuff, and he will be at table 15U, so right down the aisle from me, down on there at aisle 15 or row 15, whatever it is.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, because it's again, there's not tons we can do about it, but especially not without. But if I could, I would really like to get the information on this guy, because like I said, this is that's literally illegal activity. That's so. Anyway, if anybody happens to have the capability to get that, then please pass it on to me.
For sure. But on another note, moving on to questions.
Yeah, let's
got a few questions in the queue that we.
Here.
Yeah, something like that.
Let's get my.
So, WLRAY asked, on episode 14, Jonathan mentioned using Flitz for removing discoloration on one of his older knife blades. And he asked, is that the gold standard, or is it steel specific, carbon steel versus stainless steel? So what do you think?
I mean, to me, I would call it the gold standard. I've been using it for a long time, but I'll be totally honest. I started using Flitz early on, and I really haven't tried a whole lot of other similar products just because I used it, it worked, I liked it, and I've stuck with it. So it's great. It's basically just a polishing paste, guys. It's for the amount that you need. It's super cheap. Like we talked, it'll a tube of it, like I buy it in like I don't know how many ounces it is, like a tube of toothpaste or whatever, and it will last it lasts us for years. So it will last a normal like knife collector or whatever for probably their lifetime. I mean, it's great. But the one thing I will say about it is be careful with any knife, but especially any of them that have like a stonewashed finish, or like we've talked about on the past episodes about the hamons, like I used to do them and leave them kind of dark and stuff. If you polish very much, especially in one where you can lighten up the entire blade, basically whatever you polish, you're potentially going to lighten it up some. So you want a very light amount and very, very light pressure cleaning it. If you've got a spot where you've got something that's going to take a little more pressure to get off of there, it will get most anything that's just surface stain or rust off of there. Now, if it's actually pitted, obviously it ain't getting rid of that. But most we're talking like
it's not metal filler.
It will take care of pretty much all of that. But if you're not careful, if you just sit there and rub in one spot, you will cause a bright spot on your blade. So be very careful with it, a little bit at a time, and very light pressure, and just a little bit, and then check, see how it looks. A little bit more if you need it. Like a little goes a long way with that. So
for sure. And for those that aren't familiar, like you said, it comes in a tube like toothpaste, and that's basically, it's abrasive toothpaste. It's very lightly abrasive paste that's just a polishing compound, And yeah, it does have a bit of protection in there too. Like if you after you wipe it off, it kind of helps coat the blade and keep it, protected. But yeah, Flitz is very good. I've also used Case Paste, which is a very similar product. It's just kind of pinkish. Brasso is something similar that does the same thing. But yeah, Flitz is definitely my preferred sort of, polishing compound, I would say. So for sure.
Cool. Good question.
All right. So thank you, Mr. WLRAY. All right. Next one is from Robert Iverson, and he says, "Have you thought about having a special guest like another USA maker, i.e., Rick Hinderer, Les George, etc., as a guest on the podcast?" And short answer, yes, we have thought about it, but it's one of those things where we're still trying to figure out what we're doing in general. We still have trip ups and major issues pretty regularly, considering that we lose episodes pretty regular because of Wi-Fi issues or streaming issues and stuff like that, that you guys probably don't even know about. But like we still have a lot of issues and a lot of we're also not the most organized when it comes to this. So we kind of shoot from the hip a lot of the time. So bringing another person in, we want to be respectful of their time. And we especially don't want to lose that time if, we were to lose that episode or something like that would go on.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. For example, like this episode you guys are hearing, I don't know, those of you that listen every week when we drop one will probably notice that we didn't drop one this past week. We recorded one, and we lost it. It wasn't salvageable. So we did do some research, and we're trying a couple of new things this week. We're hoping maybe we'll help with that. But yeah, if we can get to the point where we're confident that we're everything's going to go right, we're not going to lose the recording and that kind of stuff, then yeah, I would love to have guests at some point. I'd love to actually have some in-person guests, and we might end up being able to arrange that, but if not, we could still do a remote like we do normally. So, but yes, like you said, short answer, yes, and we probably will at some point. We just have to get our technical stuff down pat first, and then go from there.
For sure. And a funny side story, I guess, relating back to earlier, Ulysses Robert, Ulysses. That's how I'm going to say it because he's French. He was the first person to reach out to me after we started the podcast to say, hey, if you ever have guests on, I would like to come on. So, and like I said, he's Canadian, so that would obviously have to be a remote thing. But cool. Definitely something we want to do because I enjoy other podcasts that interview other makers and getting to hear those stories and stuff. So yeah, I would definitely enjoy doing something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just gotta figure it out first.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Next one, and I'm going to actually pronounce this right because I figured it out this time, from No Mo, Mr. Knife Guy. No Mo, Mr. Knife Guy. That's it. What is your favorite knife from your childhood, and would you still carry it today?
You want to tackle this one?
You want me to go?
Or? Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, I should have brought it up here because, like I said, like Jonathan just mentioned, we recorded this. We this is the second time doing this episode. We haven't answered it last time too, but it's basically like a little, I don't know, 10 to 12 inch, almost kukri. I would say bolo sort of fixed blade. Just I don't even know what brand it is, but it's not quite as drop down as like a kukri or anything like that, but it's got a little bit of a recurve and a little belly out at the end. So being about 12 inches, it wasn't too unwieldy to carry. It wasn't like a machete hanging down my leg as a kid. And this is mostly talking about like out in the woods and stuff. I lived on like a 200-acre farm, so we had a bunch of woods and stuff that I would just walk through and go find stuff to chop down. And that was one that, I used the crap out of that knife to the point where the edge, I recently found it, and the edge was much less of an edge and more of just like I've ground swedges thinner than what that edge looked like for sure. It was, roughly an 1/8 inch of just flat steel. So I ended up regrinding it and resharpening it when I found it. But I would love that knife. It just had a simple, basic kind of black rubberized handle. And yeah, I'll have to bring it and show it to you guys, but I would carry it except for the fact that I need to make a sheath for it because the sheath is so worn out that it literally won't function to carry anymore. The retention strap broke off. The actual way the belt loop hooks onto the sheath broke off. It has some miles on it for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good one. I can definitely see how that would appeal especially as a kid. Not that it wouldn't still be appealing, but yeah, big choppy stuff like that's always fun. So
yeah,
and mine would be maybe not quite that big and like a chopping kind of deal, but I had a couple that one of them, and this was like not like young childhood, but like I don't know, like teenage year, preteen, teenager, whatever, probably teenager before I got either one of these. So one of them was basically just the good old hollow handle survival knife. That everything came out after the Rambo movies made them popular. So it was some cheap, I forget. I think the brand was something like Jungle Aerator.
Jungle,
huh?
Was it Jungle?
Maybe
like jungle with an extra E on the end.
Google it, possibly. I think I have it stuck in a box somewhere. I'll have to find it. I think I made a like nylon, like hand sewn nylon sheath for it at one point or whatever it was, and I think I got it. I do not remember where I got it. I'm pretty sure I got it secondhand. I got maybe traded for it or something. I did a lot of horse trading stuff as a kid.
Yeah,
I think still do sometimes, but anyway. Yeah, I don't think it had all the like stuff in the handle that they typically come with. Like, I don't think I got all the matches and the whatever came with them, which I mean it was pretty much junk anyway. But anyway, yeah, I love that thing. I remember probably from throwing it, I think I ended up like the handle kind of loosened up a little bit from the blade, not to the point that it was not usable anymore, but I think I remember putting some JB Weld in there at one point in the little gap to kind of help it tighten it up a little bit. It seemed to help some. So.
Yeah, I've done that to a survival knife as well from throwing it, so it's funny.
And then another one that really stands out to me is one that I bought as a teenager. It was this. I have no idea what brand it was. Some cheap, no name brand or whatever. I bought it I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, I bought it at a hardware store or store or something similar, some kind of like little country store. And it was kind of a Bowie shaped knife or whatever. It had wooden handles, but it was just kind of the overall. I want to say the top maybe had some kind of. I don't remember if it was. I don't think it was just like a straight Bowie. Like I don't think the spine was just like straight and then dropped off into the like clip point. I feel like it was. I feel like it had some curve to it. I may be wrong, but I think it actually had kind of a hump, like a thumb ramp, and then kind of curved back down. Again,
sort of like a SOG profile.
Yeah, kind of. Which sort if you've seen, several of my fixed blades in the past have kind of mimicked that, kind of the thumb ramp and then a kind of a curve down at the spine and before it drops down. So, I've got several designs. I may be completely wrong. It may have been completely straight. I may be remembering it wrong. You got to think my childhood was a little farther removed than yours was. So, but anyway, whatever that may be, and it had like the cheap leather case with it. I remember just really that one really stood out to me as far as really liking the lines of it or whatever. I ended up the edge ended up super wavy because I tried to chop through a bone, a deer's leg or something that I had killed, and it was I don't know why I was chopping through it in the first place, but anyway.
Yeah, it seemed like fun at the time, I'm sure, and I'm sure it was. Until you rolled your edge. But, this is how we learn things.
And it looked like Snake River going down through there. So anyway, that's the ones that I remember and as far as would I carry them, I mean, other than for nostalgic reasons, no, probably not those exact individual knives. I like a better high quality reproduction of them, maybe, the style, but those particular ones, because I didn't have any high quality knives as a kid, so I probably would, other than for nostalgic reasons. But yeah, that's just the way it goes.
I've been wanting to kind of recreate that one of mine that I mentioned, but that's just more time and effort than I would I have time for really.
That's right. Gotta stay focused.
But yeah, do what?
Gotta stay focused.
Yeah, I got to stay focused. I mean, I would love to have it just for my own personal use, but it's not like, anything I really need,
right.
need. So,
right.
One of those things, but I definitely enjoyed that knife.
That's awesome. Right. I think we probably got time for one more, maybe two if they're really short.
All right. Let's see. Another one from Robert Iverson, asking about, well, first of all, he asked about the collab Dixon and if it would have a hamon. And the answer is no. And he also asked if it would be an auction piece at Blade. I'm thinking I'm going to do a lottery for it. So there's that one. But he says, will you sell the anodized hardware at Blade Show or shortly after for the Dixon? Any plans for backspacer or matching anodized clips, that sort of stuff for future hardware for the Dixons?
We will for sure. At some point in the not very distant future, we will for sure sell some of the hardware like the different color anodized and stuff. Backspacers too. At some point, that's going to be a little farther down the road because that's a whole nother. I have to designing the backspacer is not hard, but I've got to do all the programming and stuff to machine it, make the pallets, and then the whole works.
Yeah.
So
machine time too.
And I kind of want to get enough of them out there that that it makes it worth. So that there's enough demand for backspacers that it makes it worth the time of doing all that before I just set in doing them, So I know for those of you that already have them, it kind of sucks that they're not already available, but I'll try not to wait too long. But yeah, right now, honestly, we're kind of, the machine time starts to get pretty tight because we've got one machine grinding blades, one machine doing Dixon handles full time, another machine doing handles part of the time, and then now that we're milling the clips on these Dixons, that eats up a fair amount of machine time. So this is back and forth between clips and handles. That kind of, and we all, that we only have 3 machines right now, so that kind of it can get really tight trying to fit in extra machine time for anything. So I'm sure another machine is in our not too distant future, but to be totally honest, we need to sell some Dixons first. And so we can afford to buy another machine. That's kind of the way when you're bootstrapping a company, the way that we've done it, that's the way it goes, guys. Like you can't just necessarily, you don't have enough machine time, just buy another machine. Well, you've got to turn the stuff that you've already got into money so that you can buy another machine. So, it's a whole process. You got to go up the next step of the ladder, but you can't just skip steps. So, we don't have investors and stuff that are bankrolling this. So we can't just be like, hey, we need another machine so we can crank out backspacers. It's, calculate, go over the.
That'd be cool though.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I would not want to have to answer
yes and no
investors and give up the things that go along with that. But I'd much rather do it bootstrap the way we've done it. So, but
I probably would too.
Just strictly the resources part of it. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to just Lord, there's no telling what all we'd be making if I had unlimited resources to buy machines and hire people. Yeah, for sure. So. But anyway, so yes, all that stuff's coming. I don't know. We might be able to get hardware ready for Blade Show. Honestly, most of the only part of the hardware, which I guess it's a fairly big amount of it, the body screws are a different length on the Dixon than they are on the Mac 2 because they had to be shorter because the contoured handles did not allow us to make the counterbore. We had to make the counterbore deeper. It's hard to explain. Anyway, the contoured handles.
You had to make the counterbore deeper on the. I'm showing an
it's
example.
Not technically deeper, but it's the head of the screw is closer to the inside of the handle, if that makes sense. Because
so that way
they get thin. They're thinner at the edge than the Mac 2 is, so there's not as much meat there. So if the screws are too long, they meet in the middle of the standoff. They bump into each other, and you can't fully tighten them up. So we had to use shorter body screws on the Dixon. Other than that, everything else is the same. The clip screws are the same size. The pivots are the same. Standoffs are the same. So we'll just basically need to get some of those screws, body screws ready, and then we should be able to have some kits. And we will offer basically just other color versions of our the standard clips for them. I don't have plans just now for any kind of a different clip other than different colors, maybe some engraved options or something like that on the clips. But yes, all that is coming. Maybe we'll be able to, I will try to have at least some of the hardware, different color hardware kits available at Blade Show. No promises, but I'll try. So yes, it's coming. Hang in there.
Sounds good. So thank you, Robert, for the question. I hope that helps. Do you want to hit one more?
Or is it one you think?
So you had one more question.
Elaborate on. If it's one you don't think we'll get too deep on, let's do it.
Yeah. I don't think you'll jump too far into the deep end on this. He says, and it's once again Mr. Iverson. He says, I know I ask this a lot, but did you get your hands on some carbon fiber of any kind for the Ridge Runner? I will be the first in line to buy it when and if you do.
No.
So we talked about that before, getting, sourcing carbon fiber and stuff in thicker sizes is a little difficult.
Yeah. And
so have you had time to even think about that?
I actually have a little bit of carbon fiber out there on the shelf. I don't think it's I don't think it's it's not thickness for the Ridge Runners though. One of the other factors besides the thickness, guys, is that there's a lot of carbon fiber out there, but there's a whole lot of it has issues with voids and stuff in it. And that kind of becomes a nightmare. It's really hard to find really good, high quality carbon fiber that doesn't have a lot of voids, and it's always way more expensive too, which is, I don't mind using it. Obviously, it makes us have to charge a little more for it, but it's been, I had found some when we started doing the carbon fiber on the Mac 2s, like the carbon fiber show size. I found some I really liked, and literally, like, by the time I ordered like 1 or 2 batches of it, then it like went away. Like, they took the listing off the site and everything. I was like, God.
Yeah.
So
you bought the rest of what they had.
Apparently, yeah. So, yet no, I have not. And honestly, it also goes back. It's not just the sourcing of the carbon fiber. It goes back to the exact same thing on the last question about the machine time, because we do still only have so many machines to run stuff on. I will say though, I've been turned on to a little desktop small mill system that like is fully capable of cutting like phenolics, cutting carbon fiber and G10 and stuff like that. That actually has a self-enclosed vacuum system and everything else. So when I can catch a breath for a second after Blade Show, I'm going to look at that and most likely pull the trigger on one, and that will help a lot, because then that will be a machine that can be doing nothing but that kind of stuff. That will allow us to do, handles for the fixed blades on it. That'll allow us to do all the inlays that are the phenolic inlays and stuff. It'll allow us to do show sides for the Mac 2s, and I don't know if we're ever going to do full phenolic show sides for the Dixons or not. I really haven't given that a whole lot of thought, but anyway,
that's on down the line.
Yeah. So no, but I do have plans to maybe make it where we will be able to do more of that stuff fairly soon. So again, hang in there on that too. We're just kind of at max capacity right now with what we're doing, besides the sourcing of the material. And actually, Blade Show will be a good place for me to, if I can get a minute to get out and actually do a little looking and shopping. Maybe I can look for some, try to do some sourcing of some carbon fiber at Blade Show, because there'll be lots of material there. So yes, I do appreciate. Believe me, I appreciate the interest in all the different things. I want to be able to. I'm here running a business. If you're wanting to spend money with me, I want to have product to sell you. But some of it's just outside the capacity that we have to do right now. So.
Yep. All right. Well, with all that said, I think we're about ready to wrap up. If anybody has any questions or comments or concerns or anything that they want to shoot to us directly, our email is knifefreakshow@gmail.com, and that's knifefreakshow@gmail.com with one S. I will be at table 15B at Blade Show Atlanta. Jonathan will be at booth 424. You got any closing thoughts for this particular episode?
No, just as usual, guys, please do, especially for this next couple of weeks while chasing myself, our brains are totally kind of wrapped up on Blade Show. Please, help us out by sending in questions and comments. Those of you that I know we've talked about Blade Show already a fair amount, and we talked about Blade Show Texas a fair amount. But if maybe you're going to be, maybe you've already attended Blade Show before and you have questions, or especially if you're like a first time attendee or you're thinking about attending, if you have any questions about anything like that, this is the great time to talk about that with it coming right up. So, but any questions are welcome, questions or suggestions on topics. So hit us up with that, and please share the stuff, guys. And if nothing else on this episode, the part where we were talking about the knockoff crap, please share this with people. Maybe, either send them that little clip or send them the whole thing and say, hey, check this out at, whatever timestamp that was, because we really need to spread the word on that and try to start fighting that from the inside out in the community before it keeps growing and getting any worse. So we appreciate you guys always spreading the word and supporting us.
For sure. And let your freak flag be productful.